Have you ever done everything right, worked harder, earned more, became impressive, and still felt empty? This video is not about the Great Gatsby the way school taught you. It's about why chasing love, status, and validation quietly destroys people, and why most never see it coming. Gatsby didn't fail because he dreamed too big. He failed because he built his entire identity on things he couldn't control. And if you're honest, you might be doing the same thing. In this video, you'll learn why success can make you lonelier instead of fulfilled, how attachment to the past keeps you stuck without realizing it, the hidden psychology behind validation, obsession, and sacrifice, and the stoic lesson Gatsby never learned. But you still can. This isn't motivation. It's a mirror. Chapter 1. The man you invent to be loved. Have you ever built a version of yourself just so someone might stay? The Great Gatsby is not just a book. It's a quiet confession. It's about a man who decided that who he was not enough. So he created someone else. Someone richer, louder, shinier. Someone the world might finally choose. Gatsby begins life small, poor, invisible. He learns early that the world listens to money, not sincerity. That lesson shapes him. Slowly, deliberately, he studies power the way others study prayer. Wealth becomes his language, status his armor, love his excuse. This might sound romantic. It isn't, because Gatsby's life is built on performance. Every party, every smile, every rumor is a signal. He is always speaking, never resting, always proving, never being. Even his love is conditional. Not love as it is, but love as it once felt. Frozen, idealized, untouched by time. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Gatsby doesn't want a person. He wants a moment that made him feel whole. That's the real tragedy of the book. Not death, not loss, but the refusal to accept reality. Seneca warned that suffering often comes not from events, but from our judgments about them. Gatsby judges the present as unworthy, so he lives elsewhere, in memory, in fantasy. This story asks you something simple and brutal. What part of your life is built to impress, and what part is actually lived? Because the more you chase an image, the further you drift from peace. And peace, as the Stoics understood, was never found in applause. Chapter 2. The parties that hide the loneliest room. Have you ever noticed how some people are always surrounded, but never truly seen? Gatsby throws parties like a man trying to drown silence. Every weekend, his mansion becomes a machine. Lights, jazz, champagne, laughter, people spilling across the lawn like the place belongs to them. They eat his food, drink his liquor, take his kindness, then leave without learning his real name. And Gatsby lets them, because this isn't generosity, it's strategy. He understands something most people learn too late. Attention is cheaper than love. You can buy crowds. You can't buy loyalty. But if you're desperate enough, you'll accept the crowd as proof that you matter. This is where the story gets psychologically sharp. In 1959, Leon Festinger's work on social comparison showed how humans measure their worth by looking sideways. Gatsby is the extreme version of that. He doesn't ask, "Who am I?" He asks, "How do I look from the outside?" And that question is a trap. Because if your identity depends on other people's reactions, you become a servant. Not to a king, not to a god, but to the mood of strangers. This might sound devilish, but it's real. Many people don't want connection. They want witnesses. Gatsby's parties aren't celebrations. They're advertisements. Each guest is a moving billboard that says, "Look, I made it." But here's the twist. The man hosting the noise doesn't join it. Gatsby stands apart, watching, waiting, like a soldier who built an entire battlefield just to lure one person into it. Aurelius once wrote that a man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. Gatsby's ambition isn't money, it's validation. And the price of that validation is steep. Because when the music ends, you're still alone, and the quiet becomes louder than any song. Chapter 3. The past you keep touching like a wound. Have you ever believed that if you just tried harder, time would listen to you? Gatsby's core mistake is simple, but fatal. He believes the past is negotiable. Not remembered, not learned from, negotiable. His entire life bends around one idea, that a single moment from years ago defines truth. Everything after that moment feels like corruption, compromise, decay. So he refuses it. He doesn't move forward. He circles. This is where the book stops being a love story and becomes a psychological case study. In 1973, research on memory reconstruction by Elizabeth Loftus showed that memory is not a recording. It's a rewrite. Each time we revisit the past, we alter it. Gatsby doesn't love what happened. He loves what he remembers happening. And those are not the same thing. This matters, because when you chase a memory, you are not chasing reality. You are chasing control. Gatsby's desire is clean, untouched, safe. The present, on the other hand, talks back. It has flaws. People change. Feelings dull. And he cannot tolerate that. So he does what many disciplined, ambitious men secretly do. He sacrifices truth for consistency. Nietzsche warned that humans often prefer a beautiful lie over an ugly truth. Gatsby chooses the lie not because he is weak, but because he is precise. He wants life to obey a script. This might sound harsh, but it's educational. Obsession with the past is not loyalty. It's avoidance. The past can't reject you. The present can. And Gatsby chooses the place where risk feels smaller, even if it costs him everything real. That's the quiet danger this chapter leaves you with. Chapter 4. The woman isn't the goal. She's the symbol. Have you ever chased someone, then realized you were really chasing what they represented? Gatsby's love is not simple affection. It's an idea dressed in a human face. Daisy is not just a woman in this story. She's a symbol of a world Gatsby was locked out of. Old money, safety, respectability, the kind of life where you don't have to explain yourself. And Gatsby? He's a man who has spent years explaining himself to the universe. So when he reaches Daisy, he isn't reaching for her. He's reaching for the final stamp of approval, the final proof that he belongs. This is where people misunderstand the Great Gatsby. They call it romance. But romance is when you see a person clearly and still choose them. What Gatsby does is different. He projects. He paints. He upgrades. He doesn't ask who Daisy has become. He demands she stay who she was. That's not love. That's control wearing perfume. In 1989, Roy Baumeister's work on the need to belong showed that rejection hits deeper when it threatens identity. Gatsby isn't afraid of losing Daisy. He's afraid of losing what Daisy would confirm about him. This is why he can't accept her uncertainty. A Stoic would call this attachment, the mind grabbing onto something external and calling it peace. But peace doesn't live in another person's hands. Here's the darker angle. Daisy is comfortable being desired, but not brave enough to be real. She floats. She avoids consequence. She lets others bleed for her comfort. And Gatsby? He accepts it because he needs her to stay perfect. This chapter is a warning. Sometimes you don't want someone. You want the feeling you think they'll give you. And if you don't catch that early, you'll sacrifice your dignity to a symbol and call it love. Chapter 5. The Cost of Becoming Untouchable. Have you ever noticed how success can quietly separate you from everyone who knew you before? Gatsby doesn't just gain wealth. He loses friction. Money makes life smooth. Too smooth. Doors open. Voices soften. People stop challenging you. And this is dangerous, because resistance is how character is tested. Gatsby's rise removes resistance. He is no longer questioned. He is admired. No longer doubted, he is envied. This looks like power. It isn't. It's insulation. Robert Merton's work in 1938 on strain theory showed how people adapt when society blocks legitimate paths to success. Gatsby adapts by creating his own path. But here's the twist. Once he arrives, he can't return. He becomes a stranger to both worlds. This is social exile disguised as achievement. The old world never fully accepts him. The new world never truly knows him. So he stands in between, polished, isolated, smiling. This is where many disciplined, ambitious people fail quietly. They harden, not because they are cruel, but because softness no longer feels safe. Gatsby learns to be impressive, not intimate, strategic, not honest, controlled, not calm. Sun Tzu wrote that a warrior who wins every battle but loses his people is not victorious. Gatsby wins money. He loses connection. And here's the brutal part. He thinks this is the price of greatness. It isn't. It's the cost of confusing distance with dignity. This chapter leaves you with a hard question. Are you becoming stronger or just harder to reach? Because strength should make you grounded, not untouchable. The video is half finished. If you like the video, be sure to comment and watch the next steps. Chapter 6. The Men Who Compete Without Saying It. Have you ever been in a room where nobody is fighting, but you can feel the war? This is the hidden engine of Gatsby. Not love, not parties, not even money. It's male competition. Silent, polished, and brutal. Gatsby and Tom are not just two men chasing the same woman. They're two different systems of power colliding. Tom is inherited dominance. He was born inside the fortress. He doesn't need to prove anything. He only needs to defend what's already his. He moves like someone who expects the world to make space. Gatsby is constructed dominance. He built himself from nothing. He is all effort, all planning, all hunger. He moves like someone who has rehearsed being worthy. And here's the psychological truth. When two men like this meet, they aren't arguing about a woman. They're arguing about reality. Tom's message is, "You can't buy your way into my world." Gatsby's message is, "I already did." This is where the story becomes sharp and modern. In 1996, Roy Baumeister and his colleagues found that threatened egotism can produce aggression. Tom doesn't lash out because he is confident. He lashes out because Gatsby's existence is a threat. Gatsby proves that status can be challenged. And Gatsby, he doesn't fight with fists. He fights with presence, with calm, with control, with the quiet arrogance of a man who believes his suffering makes him superior. This might sound bad, but it's real. Men often use women as trophies in wars they don't admit they're fighting. And the saddest part? Both men lose something human in the process. Because when life becomes a contest, love becomes a scoreboard. And nobody feels safe, not even the winner. Chapter 7. When Loyalty Becomes a One-Way Street. Have you ever stood your ground for someone and realized you were standing alone? This is where Gatsby's story tightens. Quietly, cruelly. When things are easy, loyalty is cheap. People smile. They stay close. They drink your wine and borrow your confidence. But pressure is the test. And Gatsby fails it in the most human way possible. He gives everything, expecting nothing back, and calls it love. This chapter isn't about betrayal. That's too dramatic. It's about imbalance. Gatsby takes responsibility that isn't his. He absorbs consequences that don't belong to him. He shields others because protecting the image matters more than protecting himself. This is not courage. This is self-erasure. In 1967, Stanley Milgram's findings on obedience showed how people endure harm when they believe it serves a higher purpose. Gatsby believes his sacrifice is meaningful, that if he just holds firm, everything will align. But alignment never comes. Here's the hard stoic truth. Virtue without wisdom becomes martyrdom. And martyrdom is often just fear in noble clothing. Gatsby mistakes endurance for strength. He waits. He watches. He stays loyal to a version of reality that has already moved on. And no one meets him where he stands. This might sound cold, but it's necessary. Loyalty that isn't mutual is not virtue. It's denial. The world doesn't reward silent sacrifice. It exploits it. And this chapter leaves you with something uncomfortable. If you disappeared tomorrow, who would step forward for you? Because if the answer is unclear, you're not surrounded by loyalty. You're surrounded by convenience. Chapter 8. The Day the Mask Slips. Have you ever felt the moment you realized your image can't protect you anymore? Gatsby spends the whole story building a world where nothing ugly can touch him. He believes money can soften reality. He believes charm can control perception. He believes love can rewrite consequences. Then the mask slips. Not in a dramatic explosion, in a quiet collapse. Because the truth about power is simple. It works best when nothing is at stake. The moment real risk enters the room, the game changes. And Gatsby was never trained for real risk. He was trained for performance. This is the turning point of the book. The parties stop. The guests vanish. The house becomes what it always was, a stage with no audience. And Gatsby, without witnesses, is forced to sit with the one thing he avoided for years, his own emptiness. In 1977, Shelley Taylor's work on positive illusions showed that people often maintain unrealistic beliefs to protect their mental health. Gatsby's illusion isn't optimism, it's survival. Without it, he has to admit the terrifying truth. He built everything around someone who will not choose him. This might sound devilish, but it's a pattern. People don't fear failure the most. They fear discovering they succeeded, and it still didn't fix them. That's Gatsby's nightmare. And it's why this chapter hits so hard. Because it's not just about him. It's about you too. About the moment you realize that your status, your money, your discipline, your achievements can't substitute for inner stability. The Stoics said external things are borrowed. Gatsby treated them like foundations. And when the weather changed, his foundation didn't hold. Chapter 9. The Brutal Math of Human Nature. Have you ever watched people disappear the moment you were no longer useful? This is where The Great Gatsby stops being literature and becomes a warning label. Gatsby's end is not just sad. It's revealing. Because when his world collapses, the truth shows itself. The crowds were never his. The admiration was rented. The smiles were temporary. The loyalty was imaginary. And this is the brutal math of human nature. Many people don't stay because they respect you. They stay because you provide something. Status, access, fun, comfort, protection. When that supply ends, so do they. This isn't cynicism. It's clarity. In 1971, the Stanford Prison Experiment by Philip Zimbardo showed how quickly people conform to roles and environments. Gatsby's guests weren't evil. They were shaped by the setting. In his mansion, they played friend. Outside of it, they returned to who they really were. And Gatsby never understood that. He thought shared pleasure meant shared bond. It doesn't. This is where the book exposes a modern sickness. The confusion of visibility with value. Gatsby was visible. He was not valued. And the people who once flooded his home treat his downfall like a stain. They step back. They protect their own image. They pretend they were never close. That's the part nobody wants to talk about, because it forces you to ask, if your life went dark, how many people would still sit with you? Machiavelli wrote that people are quick to love when you give, but quicker to abandon when danger comes. Not because they're monsters, because most humans are built for safety, not virtue. Stoicism doesn't ask you to hate people for this. It asks you to stop being surprised, and to build your life on something stronger than applause. Chapter 10. The green light you keep calling destiny. Have you ever chased something for so long that you forgot to ask if it was even worth having? The Great Gatsby ends with a symbol, the green light, a small glow across the water, a distant promise, a quiet addiction. Gatsby spends years reaching for it, not just with money, but with obsession. He treats it like fate, like purpose, like the final door to meaning. But the green light is not hope. It's attachment. It's the mind grabbing a future and refusing to live in the present. It's the belief that life begins after something happens. After you get the girl. After you get rich. After you become impressive. After you finally prove your worth. This is the trap. Because once you arrive, the mind moves the light again. Further away. Always across another body of water. In 1974, the work of Donald Campbell and Philip Brickman on the hedonic treadmill showed that humans adapt quickly to improvements. Pleasure fades. The dream becomes normal. Then the hunger returns. Gatsby is the hedonic treadmill with a suit on. He doesn't want happiness. He wants completion. And completion is a fantasy. The world doesn't hand you a final chapter where you feel permanently safe. This might sound harsh, but it's freeing. If you stop worshiping the green light, you stop being controlled by it. The Stoics understood this deeply. They didn't reject ambition. They rejected slavery to outcomes. Gatsby dies reaching outward, never inward. And the final lesson is not don't dream. It's this: dream, but don't build your identity on what you can lose. Desire, but don't sacrifice your dignity for a symbol. Love, but don't demand the past obey you. Because the most dangerous thing isn't failure. It's living your whole life chasing a light and never becoming the person who can sit in the dark with peace. Thank you very much for watching my video, and please like and subscribe to my channel.